So we're going to do a couple journal entries for the city of Antrop. And what's different about governmental is that first you have to indicate what fund the entry is going to impact. And then you need the account that you will debit and credit. So let's start with number 1. $5 million bond is issued to build a new hospital. So they're going to get cash. And for fund accounting, you actually don't record assets or liabilities. The purchases, if there are any, or cash that you get from debt is just recorded as activity for the period. So that takes quite a mind shift to recognize that. But let's go ahead and get this done. So that's going to be a capital project to build a new hospital. So let's record that. So what did we do here? So the first thing we did was indicate that this is going to be recorded. The activity is going to impact the capital projects fund. We're going to build a hospital. And we're going to get $5 million in cash, and the credit is going to go to other financing sources. So that is the credit. It will be in the capital projects fund. So it's sort of debit to cash and credit to fund balance, if you will. Next, they receive a grant, and the grant is for a particular purpose. So what kind of fund should we use when we get revenue that's designated for a specific activity? So that's going to go in the special revenue fund. So you're going to get cash, and you don't get to recognize the revenue until you do the thing that the revenue is for. You haven't earned it until you make the improvements. And then in number 3, it says, now we have made the improvements and paid for those improvements. Now what? So now that activity is going to be in the special revenue fund. We're going to remove the deferred revenue. It's no longer deferred, and we're going to recognize the revenue. And we're going to recognize the expense and pay for it. Notice that it's called expenditure in governmental accounting. They're much closer to a modified cash flow than they are accrual basis, except for the enterprise funds. So even the credit, when we got the bonds, it's more cash inflow than it is what you would have thought about in terms of getting a loan. So here you've got a cash outflow, and you record what the cash outflow was for, basically. So that kind of gets you started. The best way to start getting comfortable with this is to do it over and over until you start just getting familiar with the typical kinds of activities that governmental units have, and there is a pattern, and the kinds of journal entries that each of those activities have. And that's basically how you learned in Principles 1 and Principles 2. It's just been a while. So this is just a really brand new set of accounts, and it's going to require the same level of repetition that you had many, many moons ago when you were first learning the chart of accounts for a regular business. Okay, so move on to the next one.